Ann, thank you for being on the show today.
Thank you for
We always
asking
do
me.
a fist bump to start it off for getting down with Gooch. So I know you from so many different things. Obviously, you're my best friend Buckwheat's mom, but I wanted to have you on because you're an actress, singer, you are a nurse, and you are a former deadhead, but I guess you're always a deadhead.
Well, always a deadhead.
It never goes away,
Never goes
right?
away.
That's great. So I just want to pick your brain a little bit, kind of see how, like, growing up, where did you grow up, and kind of how did you get into, I know you did some acting and stuff when you were in high school and younger and things,
did.
right?
Yeah, actually, I grew up in Oneonta, New York, which is in
Okay.
the Catskill Mountains, about 10 miles outside of Cooperstown. Most people know Cooperstown because of the Baseball Hall of Fame.
Right.
And my father was a painter, and he was an art instructor at the university, the State
Don't
University.
you paint?
I
A little
don't.
bit? You
Ken
don't paint?
does.
Ken
I
does.
don't.
I knew
Yeah.
one of you guys
Yeah,
paint.
I don't. I'm
So
a
your
terrible
your
artist.
husband can paint.
Yes, he
Okay.
does. But my father, excuse me, was a professor at the State University there, and I grew up around painters and jewelry smiths
Creatives.
and actors and poets.
Wow.
One of his best friends was a poet, and
That's awesome.
so because I grew up in that environment and I was at the college all the time from the time I can remember, we did, plays and stuff at the college, and they would ask the professors' kids if they wanted to be walking scenery, really, is what it was at
Yeah.
that point in my life. And then,
But I'm sure that was exciting.
oh
just
yeah,
to
it was
be
great
around
fun.
it.
As a matter of fact, several pretty well-known celebrities are from Oneonta. Bill Pullman actually went to college at Oneonta
Love
State.
Bill Pullman.
I do too.
I've been watching his new show, The Sinner.
Yeah.
And that's really good.
Yeah.
He's really good in
Well,
it.
he was in college when I was in high school, so
Okay.
I never met him, but he went there, and Pee Wee Herman's from Oneonta.
Oh, wow.
We had the same kindergarten teacher, but several years apart. He's a little bit older than I am.
Pee Wee. I
Yeah.
grew up on Pee Wee.
Paul Rubens, yeah.
Paul Rubin, that's his
Yeah.
name.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's funny because I grew up on him, and then I remember seeing him in Buffy the Vampire Slayer,
Yeah.
and he played a totally weird, different role, and it was funny. He's actually a really funny guy and
Yeah.
a good actor. He kind of got pigeonholed in that Pee Wee thing.
Yeah, yeah.
But anyway, so
But so then I actually, when I was 18, I had a chance to go to New York, and that's what I was sure I wanted to do. I was positive I wanted to be an actress. And then I chickened out at the last minute because I didn't think I had enough self-confidence really to survive the rejection, because
Well,
it's a lot of rejection.
I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that.
Yeah, so I didn't. And then I ended up singing in a band and following the Grateful Dead around for a while. And
Yeah.
then
How long did you follow the Grateful
A
Dead?
year.
A year?
Yeah,
And
a little
now-
less than
and
a
now
year.
where did you follow them?
like New York, Vermont,
Yeah.
Massachusetts.
Now they're from up that way, right?
You know,
Or-
I don't even really know for
Yeah,
a fact.
I'm
I mean,
not-
I know they lived in San
I'm-
Francisco.
yeah, I know,
And
well, yeah, they
Ashbury
started in San
place,
Francisco, but I
yeah.
know they did a lot of touring up that
Yeah,
way.
they used
yeah,
to
you're right. They
play-
did start, I think, in San
Yeah,
Francisco.
they
now
used
you
to
mention-
play a lot, like in the summer festivals and things all around. And this,
Yeah.
we're talking the late '70s is when I did this, and I lived in a house with a bunch of Deadheads. And if you didn't like the Grateful Dead, then you were in big trouble because that's all we listened to in the house.
Oh, man, that's awesome.
It was a lot of fun, but
Yeah.
it was time to not do that anymore because it's expensive.
Yeah.
And then it got to be
The
kind of.
scene was a little crazy.
Yeah, but not in a bad way.
No, of course
You
not.
know, not
but
in a
it was
bad
just,
way. It just was just time to stop.
Yeah, I'm
So-
sure. I was kind of that way growing up. I used to go to the Dave Matthews Band concerts religiously. I've been, I think, 25 or more.
Wow.
And that was the thing. And now I go and I'm like, this is not my scene anymore.
Yeah.
It's just
I
kind of
think you
grow
just
out
kind
of it.
of change and evolve, and all the
Yeah.
things that you like as you get older. You realize that you can still like them, but
Yeah.
it's just
Well,
a different.
How great is it that John Mayer's playing with him, and you've seen them
Three times.
3 times, and
Yeah.
I've seen, and I mean, I haven't seen it live, but I've watched some stuff online when
Yeah.
they had Warren Haynes, who's one of my favorite guitarist
Yeah.
players, but it just wasn't quite like. And John, he walks that line. It sounds like Jerry sometimes when he's playing. He
Yeah.
really channels that, but he brings his own flair to it.
He does,
and
and
in
I was
vocals too.
Yeah, I was really surprised. I didn't think that I would enjoy it because he's so contemporary,
Yeah.
and I was kind of surprised when I heard that they had picked him.
Yeah.
I've seen the Dead 4 times before he joined, and they always had guest singers
Yeah.
with them. So I saw them once with Willie Nelson. I saw him once with Joan Osborne after Jerry died, and but he I think must have watched hours
Yeah.
and hours of footage of Jerry, because
He's
he
got- yeah.
really does.
And,
Excuse me,
and I
sounds
even
just-
noticed from, like, I watched when they first announced it, I was like I'm curious to see how he does, you know? And when I watched the first couple concerts, I was like, yeah, okay. But then I noticed, like, a year or two later, I tuned into some, I think you texted me that one night, you were like, hey, the Dead's on or
Yeah.
something, watch it. And I watched it, and I was like, he's got it.
Yeah.
Like, he's found, and he just looked more comfortable. I think he had his shoes off,
Yeah.
and he was playing, and actually, I was very fortunate. When I was in 61 North, we played the first Allman Brothers Peach Festival, and Bob Weir and Rat Dog
That makes me
were
so
on the
upset.
bill. So I can say I opened up for Bob Weir.
Did you actually get to meet him?
I didn't get to meet him. I saw him,
Oh.
but like I couldn't. What am I gonna do? Hey, Mr. Weir.
I would have.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. I would have.
Yeah,
For sure.
I probably should. I probably should have. Can I just touch your hands for a minute? And I'll leave you alone. But
But you know, it's such a subculture, really, and it always has been. And
Right.
I remember, like, all of my children grew up with me listening to the Grateful Dead all the time, and I'd clean the house, and we'd dance around the house and whatever. So I've taken all of them except my youngest son to the Dead concerts, and the first time I took Melissa, my daughter, to a Dead concert was when Joan Osborne played with them many years ago.
Oh, wow.
And we were driving.
Love
and-
Joan Osborne.
I do
She's
too. She
super
was
talented.
fabulous. And we were driving into Camden and trying to find a place to park, and some guys had the signs, "I need a miracle," and Melissa was like out of her element. She says, "Mom, what does that mean?" And I said, "They're looking for tickets," because they have their own language,
Yeah.
these people that follow them all around
Yep.
the country. And then we were getting out of the car, and somebody came up to us and asked us where the station was. And Melissa, again, what does that mean? And they want to know where the venue is. And you just go up the street and take a right. So
that is funny. There's a lot of artists out there, like the Parrot Heads and
Yeah,
Jimmy
Jimmy
Buffett,
Buffett.
and Dave Matthews, and they all kind of have their little own subcultures.
Yeah.
And obviously, Grateful Dead is probably one of the biggest and most
and
well
you
known.
see generations of families together, grandparents, kids, grandkids, great grandkids in some cases, and they're just all there, and it's just having a good time.
That's what I
with
like
music.
about what they're doing now is it's really it's like it's like a family event. It's
You
not.
could.
I mean, of course, there's always people that are all fucked up on alcohol or drugs
Yeah.
and things like that. I mean, I try to stay away from Susquehanna Bank Lawn because it seems like people drink all day long tailgating, and then they just come sloshing into the lawn. And
I think the last time we went, we only saw one person like that, but most of the time
Yeah.
it's pretty chill, and
Well,
you can
that's
just
cool.
like hang out on the lawn and do whatever you want to do.
Well, I won't make you go into any like deep stories of shows or anything like that. But so Grateful Dead and music, obviously, big part of your life.
Yes.
And did you sing?
I did, and
So you
played the
sang-
guitar.
And you play, and you played the guitar.
Yes.
So that's where Ryan gets it from.
Well, he's a lot better at it than I ever was.
He's got a lot of natural gifts.
He
that's for
really
sure.
does,
Yep.
and I keep telling him if he could learn how to read music, it would be.
Well, I can't read music either, and I should learn how to read music
Yeah.
too. So we're just stubborn. We're very lucky that we feel it,
Yeah.
because I think there's people out there who can read music but can't feel it, and I'd prefer the former than the latter.
Absolutely.
So
I mean, and he, I played a lot when they were kids, and when he picked up that guitar that one day, and it's just been nonstop.
I love
ever
the story. Tell the story again.
about the Who.
Yeah,
Oh.
the Who thing you were doing. 'Cause that's a great story.
No, I don't want to embarrass him.
Oh, embarrass him.
But,
He's not here.
Okay. Well, he was about 16, and I was asked to play in the Who's Tommy, the
Right.
Broadway, not on Broadway. It was at a
Right.
community
An
theater.
off-Broadway, on-Broadway
no,
show.
It was Broadway show at Cumberland Players in Vineland.
Gotcha.
And I was asked to play in the band because you obviously need a live rock band.
Right.
And play rhythm guitar. So I said yes. And they couldn't find a lead guitarist anywhere. And my friend was the director of the show, and they said, would you, what about Ryan? And I said, he could never, I don't think he could ever play a score. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? The whole album is
Yeah.
the show.
Yeah.
There's no stopping. I mean, it's just like, it's a rock opera on the stage.
It's a rock, and
it's like-
and the solos and stuff
Yeah,
are super important.
I
yeah.
couldn't do that, and they
Right.
couldn't find anybody. So they gave me the CD, and I played it for Ryan, and he learned the entire score by ear.
Kids got
and at
The
16.
gear. That's how I was too. I could pick it up.
It was amazing. It was just the most amazing thing. I still get goosebumps thinking about it because he was crazy good.
Yeah.
And
what was the song? I'm trying to think that he busted into that solo. There's a real.
Oh my goodness, there were a
There's
few.
several, but there's one specific one. I think you played it for me or something. I don't know, but there's a lot of great songs.
Yeah, but the funniest thing was at the end, our closing night, we played a little bit longer in the curtain call because the audience was, going crazy or whatever. And the drummer, I can't remember his name, Mike somebody or other, he used to play in some shore band around here in the 70s and was a really good drummer. But anyway, he told Ryan before the show that on his last chord to do a Peter Townsend windmill.
Oh.
And Ryan looked at him and said, "Who's Peter Townsend?"
After he learned the whole record, front
After he
back.
learned, and I guess I never said their
Yeah,
names.
that's fantastic.
So it was just the most endearing thing, and I think that the day I die, I'll remember that because it was so funny. And he was just like, so when Melissa turned 30, I took her to the Who when they came to the Philadelphia a few years ago, and I bought Ryan a windmill picture or a T-shirt
that's
of
awesome.
Peter Townsend. So I
That's
don't know
so
if he
cool.
still has it, but that's the story.
That's one of my favorite stories, being now that he's playing guitar for me, you know what I mean? Because I see it all the time that he, he picks it up by ear, but I'm sure he gets that from you and your family and the creative side and everything like that because, he helps out with this show and he's a whiz when it comes to our shows and things like that. So, kudos to you for raising a good one.
I love him.
So after that, you said you kind of didn't follow your dream.
I didn't.
But I know now you are. But before that, you then got into nursing, correct?
I did.
So
I did.
Tell me a little bit about those years.
Well, I went to nursing school 30 years ago when my kids were little, and I worked trauma ER most of my career. The last 10 years of my career, I worked at Woodstown Family Practice as a office nurse in Woodstown. And then moonlighted some in the ERs at night, Salem and Christiana. And I got my education in Washington State before we moved here to New Jersey.
Right, because you guys lived in Washington State for a
We
while.
did. We were there for 9 years.
And you moved here because Ken, your husband, is working at the nuclear plant.
Correct.
He's a nuclear engineer.
Yes.
Yep. Very smart man.
Yes, he is.
Yep.
Yes, he is.
And I like Ken. I want to get him on the show at some point.
I'm sure he would love it.
And talk string theory and
goodness.
and atoms
He would
and
love
stuff
that.
like that. Ryan keeps telling me, no, you don't want him on there. He's gonna just make your brain explode. You won't even understand what he's talking about. I was like, I know, but I thirst for that knowledge. I feel like I can feel it in my brain. I just don't know how to articulate the words.
I can't articulate the words.
Well, that's what I'm saying, because I feel there's this connectivity, there's this energy there, especially with me being a musician, and vibration and things like that. And the guy we had on last week, Michael Gross, was always talking about raising your vibration, your positive vibration, and how you can do that through different practices and meditation and things like that. And obviously there's people out there who, like monks, who dedicate their entire lives to it. So I know there's something connecting it all there. I'm hoping Ken can articulate what the hell it is.
I think you should ask him.
I'm sure he'd try. I'd just sit there and go, okay. Can you dumb it down for me, Ken?
No.
But
you would love
so what was it like working in the ER? I know you probably had some crazy things happening there.
I actually went to nursing school, started off wanting to be a nurse midwife.
Okay.
And then I did one rotation when I was in college in a maternity ward and said no more. I didn't want to do that. And
Don't tap the table. Is that what John's saying? Okay. Don't tap the table. Our producer's telling us.
Okay.
We're creating
Sorry.
too much noise.
So I wanted to be a maternity nurse, and then that was like XA. I didn't want to. And then I did one rotation in the ER and said, this is for me, because I was always a little bit of an adrenaline junkie when it came to that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you were a deadhead.
Yeah. So I did, and then I was very fortunate because I precepted at a hospital in my last year of college, and they hired me right out of nursing school to work in ICU, and then I transferred to the ER. And I've seen some pretty awful things and some pretty funny things.
Yeah, I
and
imagine you got to have a sense of humor
you
eventually.
kind of do, because if you don't have a sense of humor, then it'll just make you absolutely insane.
Cynical, probably, too.
And I did become very cynical, which
Yeah.
is a reason why I left the ER.
Yeah.
Actually, my 9/11 pretty much transformed me as far as working in the emergency room. They made us all come into work that night. I was working at Christiana.
Oh, wow.
And some police escorts across the bridge. We were I was like the only person on the road all the way to. I mean, it was just surreal. It was just insane. And I thought to myself as the days went on after 9/11 that there's way more to life than this.
Yeah,
So-
and you got back into acting later in life now.
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
because of my kids, actually, because of Melissa.
they encouraged you.
Well, what had happened was she was really good friends with a lot of the thespians in the area, and she knew of a show.
I love thespians.
Yeah, I do too.
John's looking at me like,
yeah.
what did he say?
But they were doing A View from the Bridge, and this was 20 years ago at Cumberland
wow.
Players, and her friend was at the house one night, and they were like, they need somebody to audition for the mother. Why didn't you come? And I said, I haven't been on stage in 20 years. And they like, come. And I got the part, and it's been ever since then that I've done community theater.
Yeah.
It's only been in the last 4 years that I've gone professional. So.
Yeah, I've seen the one. I came to one of your plays. Is that the same Cumberland group?
No,
Because that's at Cumberland College,
That's at
right?
the college, correct.
And what is that? That's like its own little troupe,
Yeah.
I guess, right?
Well, it's not.
Or do they have a name?
We
or
have
anything?
we have a theater program at Cumberland Community College. So the show that you saw, I adjunct teach in the theater department there, and so the show you saw, we do 2 a year. And it's for credit, the kids that are students at the
neat.
college. So I try to do when they do a show that I can do,
Right.
that has a role for me. It's fun because I get to be there with the students, and we mentor them and teach them. And the director of the program at Cumberland Community College, Deborah Bradshaw, is a former Broadway actress.
Oh, wow.
And she was in Les Miserables and Phantom of the Opera. She was Mrs. Claus in the Radio City Music Hall Christmas thing for years.
Wow, that's fantastic.
And she runs the theater program there. So she really...
I think I met her when we were there.
I think I introduced... She's fabulous.
Sweetheart, yeah.
And she really does the productions at the college on a Broadway scope.
Yeah.
Really, the sets are magnificent. We get the costumes a lot of the times from New York. And she's just a wealth of knowledge for the kids and, excuse me, all of us that perform there. So, but around the college are other community theaters. There's Cumberland Players in Vineland, and then there's also...
Yeah, I knew there was like a couple groups
OBSB,
like that.
I think is what it's called at the Liverpool Way. And so, it's a competitive business because everybody needs to sell tickets. So everybody does things in their own time. So
he looked up because you tapped the microphone.
I did.
He's on the headphone. It's funny because the last guy was here. He talked with his hands way more than you do.
I'm trying not to. I'm Italian, so I'm just like a thing.
That's what I said to him. I think I called him. What's the lady on the? I said, "What are you, Joy friggin' Behar? Like, do you not stop moving your hands?" But
I'll just hold them right here.
yeah, shout out to Michael Gross. He was on the last episode. But I had a great time, and
I'm glad.
I was pleasantly surprised. Not that I didn't think you were going to be great, but just but really just the overall production level was very high for a community theater.
Yeah.
And now I'm going to be coming to see you in Oliver in November.
Yes.
So
November 15th through the 18th at the Cumberland Community College, and tickets are on sale now. So if you'd like to, I'm getting you tickets though. I already have yours.
I appreciate it. And I'll put you on the guest list when we play World Cafe Live. So we'll call it even.
Okay, perfect. But I played the Widow Corny in the musical Oliver.
Ironically, I know that Please Sir, Can I Have Some More?
Yeah.
That's about all I know.
Well, the
and I've
Broadway
never seen
show
it.
is a little bit different than the movie.
Okay.
Had never seen the actual stage production musical Oliver on stage. I've seen the movie many times because that was quite popular when I was growing up. So, we were all kind of...
Was that written long time ago? Or
the book Oliver?
Yeah.
Charles Dickens
Charles
wrote that,
Dickens, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
back in the 1800s.
I thought it was something like that.
But it's the little boy that plays Oliver is absolutely adorable, and he sings the song "Where Is Love," and it just will just break your heart when you hear him sing it. He's amazing. I play an evil matron of the workhouse where all the orphans are. So I'm bad. And I'm
well, I'm sure.
And I sing.
I'm looking forward to. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it because you didn't. I don't think you sang in the last one.
No, I sing in a Cockney accent in this one.
In a Cockney accent.
Yeah, I talk Cockney all the time.
You're better than I am.
Yeah.
With Ryan and I, we watch a show called People Do Nothing. He's gonna be pissed. I keep bringing up his name, but I spend so much time with him, and he's your son. He's bound to come up. So
a little bit.
But we watch a show called People Just Do Nothing, and these guys kind of have that Cockney accent, but they run a pirate radio station, and they're kind of like, they think they're rappers, and it's just hysterical. So, and me and my friend Josh, we always, how you doing, mate? Yeah, fuck you, mate. We go into that all the time. It's fun to do a Cockney accent.
Yeah, it is fun.
So you must be having a blast doing that.
I love doing roles where you can do an accent.
Yeah,
I really do.
Now, what's that like when you sing though? Like, do you blend the Cockney? I mean, because I've seen people who have accents and they sing and they don't sound like they have a dialect.
I just do it. I do. The last thing that I did was Mary Poppins, and I played Mrs. Brill, and she was a Cockney housekeeper, and I had to sing too in that. And usually what I do is I tape it with myself talking it first, and then I listen to it over and over and over, and then I sing it. Okay. It's kind of like memorizing it, listening to myself. Does that make sense?
That makes a lot of sense. I mean,
that's my process.
Yeah, that's what people want. That's why I wanted to have you on the show, because I think, you can speak to that 18-year-old you that was a little bit scared to take that leap, and maybe somebody will see you and what you're doing and talking about it and be like, you know what, maybe I can take that leap.
It's never too late to follow a dream.
That's for sure. And you're doing great. I mean, and you've got the new movie coming out, which is...
It's out. It's Jason's Letter.
Jason's Letter.
Yeah, I played... I have a very small role, but it's a speaking role, and I played Vivica Fox's secretary.
Oh, the great Vivica Fox.
Yes.
And there's another actor. Who's
Quentin Aaron from The Blind Side.
The Latino guy. Kind of plays the criminal.
I didn't meet him.
But you know who I'm talking about.
The one with all the tattoos on his neck. Yeah.
I saw he was in it, and I was like, he's from Breaking Bad, and like a bunch of cool.
Yeah, I didn't.
He always plays like the bad gangster guy.
Yeah.
Thing,
well, he's all tatted up. He's got tattoos on his neck.
I think those are real.
Yeah, they're real.
Yeah. Yeah.
I saw him from a distance, but I didn't get to work with him.
Yeah.
But
well, he seemed. Yeah. I mean, when I looked at the cast, I was just like, wow, this is really.
It's
and a very topical movie.
It's
about a police shooting and everything like that.
Yeah, it's basically a true story. Actually, it's available on Stars, I should say. Yeah. I think you can get it on demand.
Yep.
Still, but it's about this little boy who writes a letter to the city council with his solution on the racial police shootings that have been happening in the community where they live. And we filmed it in Dover, Delaware, a year ago, February. And Terrence Tykheem is the director, and if you were to Google him, most of the films that he does have some sort of social relevance.
Yeah, I was checking out the IMDb stuff a little bit, and just the actors and him and they all have a lot of things that they've been involved with, and he personally, like you said, it seems like he always has some sort of social awareness aspect to his films and to his art. So that's really neat to be a part of. I'm sure.
He's a guy. He's from Philly, and I hope that he does more work. So, but it's kind of been a big deal. This, we had the red carpet in Dover, and then all the stars came, and we all got interviewed, and it was a hoot to be a part of it. It really was.
Yeah,
I was very honored.
I'm very much looking forward to seeing it, because I was reading about it, and I was just like, man, this sounds like a good movie. Not a lot of people get that opportunity either. No. And like you said, you're playing a secretary, but you're playing Vivica Fox's secretary. You're gonna get lines, and you had lines and screen time, right?
I did a lot of, and much more screen time than I thought. And the greatest thing about that project is that just there were a lot of stars in it, but Mr. Tykheem utilized a lot of non-union local actors from Philadelphia, and some union actors as well that aren't well known in their business. So he gave us all a chance.
But I mean, how often in movies do you see someone, and you're like, oh, they were the secretary in this, or they were the this and this. Oh, and then all of a sudden, that's how you build your catalog.
I know. Let's hope.
I remember Jonah Hill. He was in 40-Year-Old Virgin,
Yeah.
and he only had a few minutes, and he was this goofy kid trying to buy these shoes with goldfish, like the old 70s platform shoes and they had goldfish swimming in the bottom of them. And he was just so funny, and he just popped on screen that, right after that, I think he came out with Superbad, and now he's a Oscar nominated actor. So it's just, I think it's great that what you're doing, and
I think.
Yeah, it's never too late.
No, it isn't really, and it's scary, and putting yourself out there like that just because you don't, I have to make a living and make money, and so it is frightening at times, and you kind of think, wow, this is crazy at 57 to be trying to do this.
So the movie's on Stars.
It is.
And you are going to be in Oliver, and that's in November,
That
correct?
is November 15th through the 18th.
And so there's some other movies and some other projects that you did that I was looking at on your IMDb page. I'm trying to think of the name of the one that was kind of like a short film.
Vaccine?
Yes, Vaccine. Talk a little bit about that, because that seemed like, just from what I read about it, I haven't seen it or anything like that yet, but it seemed like a really interesting project.
Actually, it's funny that Shoestring Gold Films produced it. It's a short. It's about 10 minutes long. You can find it on Vimeo, and I think maybe YouTube, but I'm not sure about it. But anyway, actually, it's interesting. 20 years ago, when I was doing a lot of stuff at Cumberland Players, I was in a children's theater production there, and I had 2 young boys that were my evil apprentices. And one of these young boys is now a grown-up filmmaker.
Right. Oh, wow.
And he lives in Vineland, Ian Kimball, and he wrote the story, and his friend Chris Spence, I think he co-produced it, or maybe even co-wrote it. I don't remember. It's been a while. But they called me and said, would you like to do this? And I said yes, and so we filmed it, and basically it's a 10-minute thriller, and it's about a woman, me, who owns a vaccine company, and they make bad vaccines on purpose to keep people sick and cause a big bad plague.
Yeah, I love thrillers. I love psychological thrillers like that, and it just seemed like such a unique idea. And
it's very cool, and I think I haven't talked to them in a while, but I think they're working on making a longer feature.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It seemed like it could be a movie or something
because it
like
just
that.
ends. It ends like one of those doomsday kind of endings, you know, and it just ends.
Make sure you send me that,
I will.
because I love thrillers and things like that.
Yeah, I will.
I was thinking of you just the other day. I went and saw that movie, A Star Is Born.
Oh, I haven't seen it yet. Don't tell me about it.
So good.
I know, I heard.
It was so good, and I got the
I need to
soundtrack.
go.
I was telling Ryan about it, and it's just like, man, that movie really just,
I mean, how perfect. Bradley Cooper and Lady Gaga. Oh, my goodness.
She's phenomenal.
I know. I love her.
I mean, and she's just another example of don't give up on your dream. She always wanted to be an actress, and I guess she kind of could say she was. She was very theatrical when she first came out and dressing crazy ways and crazy shows, and it all ties in, and she was great in American Horror Story, and I give a lot of credit to Bradley Cooper for choosing her for this role, because, I mean, she just knocked it out of the park. And
I have to go see it.
I was thinking of you while I was watching. I was like, Anna's going to love this. The acting, the cinematography, the soundtrack, all of it.
This is the 3rd time they've made that story, so I'm curious to see how different it's going to be.
And the original was Chris Christopherson and
there
Barbra
was that
Streisand,
one before that,
There's
too.
one before that.
Sorry. I hit the table again.
It's okay.
There was one before that. Judy Garland was back, I think, in the 50s, maybe 1958. She was in the first one, and then Christopherson and Streisand, which is the one that I was we all
grew up. That was
permed our hair like her, and
big
everybody
famous
wanted
one.
to be Barbra Streisand because she was great in that movie. And
Still
I had
is
the record.
great, right?
Yeah, she still is.
Yeah.
But I had the album and wore holes in it, I think, because we listened to it so much. And Chris Christopherson too.
Yeah, I mean, Chris Christopherson, he's so authentic. And,
he really is.
And there's another guy, Sam Elliott is in A Star Is
I
Born.
just saw the clip with him in it, and that made it even better.
Oh, dude, when I saw Sam Elliott come on, I was just like whoever did the casting for that movie was brilliant because Andrew Dice Clay is in it as well.
Really?
And he plays kind of a normal character. He's the father of this girl. And
really?
Yep. And Dave Chappelle is in it, and he has he has a short role, but he's just absolutely dynamic and fantastic. In it.
Oh, I can't wait to see it.
So,
I think I'm going to go next week.
You know, I was just thinking of you because I was like, the casting is so unique in this movie, and just there were so many things about it that I don't know. I was like, man, I can't wait to talk to Ann about it because I think it's going to be right up her alley. But you know, I think that a lot of people want to get into that, and they can. They don't realize they just have to. It takes time to build up your profile and doing those things. So what do you like better? You like doing the community live theater because that's like a whole rush. You know what I mean? And the live aspect.
My dream is to be on Broadway. Of course, that's the ultimate dream. And I will say, I find film and theater are so completely different from each other, and most of my obviously resume has been on the stage,
right.
And I'm still learning all of the things about making film, and every time I go to a gig it gets a little bit easier for me to do it, but it's much more I don't know if this is the right word, disjointed. Like everything is.
Sometimes you're shooting the 46th scene in the movie, and
you know, which that in and of itself is fine, but it's frustrating for me sometimes because you know I like to have the emotion build from beginning to end, and obviously I know that you can't always do that. But when you're on stage, that's what happens. You have a beginning, a middle, and an end. But maybe when you're filming something, you film the end before you film the beginning.
Right.
So it's a little more stressful and a little more.
I imagine it would take you like kind of getting into character more, rather where when you do it live, maybe it just kind of flows naturally into that character. Is that way?
It is, and like for me, when I do something on the stage, I have my own quiet space where I can go and put myself in my other body for, you know, get into that other body before I actually go out on the stage. And sometimes when you're doing a film, you're in a room the size of this room, and there's 50 people in there, and everybody's talking, and there's lights flashing, and people sound checking, and cameramen walking around, and there really isn't a space where you can just
zen out a little bit.
You know what I mean? Because they need you, or they'll call you and say, stand on that mark so we can check the light and make sure everything's okay. And it's all like that all the time. Quick.
Well, I mean, I remember doing a photo shoot when I was with my other band, 61 North, and we did it with a very professional photographer. At the time, his name's Drew Gurian, and he shot for National Geographic. Oh. This guy was super pro. And now he's shooting like Willie Nelson and all, like Bruce Springsteen and all these people stuff. But he wanted to get into that. We were the first people he shot, but it was just doing that photo shoot. He had us up there at like 8 in the morning, and we shot till 5, 6 in the evening, and different places. And it was like, all right, dude, put this on, and I was exhausted. Yeah. I was like, this is a photo shoot. Why am I exhausted at the end of the day? So I can't imagine actually filming and trying to get into character like that.
The day that I was on the set with Jason's Letter, literally I arrived at 8 o'clock in the morning, and I didn't get home till probably almost 9 o'clock at night for one scene that I did, 2 scenes. Because, you know, lighting changes, things need to be moved, everything. It's a big thing. It's a long day, but it's so much fun.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't trade it for a million years. So I can't wait till the next opportunity I have to do something like that.
Yeah, I think that you will. I mean, look at how it's grown since you started, you know. And we talked with, you know, even back then. Yeah. And you've done so many things since then that you didn't think you were going to do.
Never in a million years.
Yep. And
never in a million years.
Even just whether it's a small commercial or something like that, I mean, just to be working and constantly, you know, refining your craft, that's, you know.
And actually being a nurse has really helped a lot too, because I do a lot of industrial work.
Okay.
My agent will submit me for pharmaceutical, which I really don't, you know, pharmaceutical companies like drug commercials and things like that. I did a huge shoot over the summer with the American Red Cross. I played a doctor, and they're training videos for ACLS, which is Advanced Life Support, Cardiac Life Support.
Okay.
And I played a doctor all summer with them, and it was great. I mean, that was just an incredible experience that we got to do. And that was like 6 days of shooting, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So
Well, I was going to say, I think that's neat because, like you said, it's not too late to follow a dream. And the thing that's neat about it is now the roles that you're getting are the mom, the aunt, the mature doctor, things like that.
no more ingenue for me.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, but those roles are necessary. We need those
They are.
roles, you know. So
And I wish that Hollywood would do more films with women my age.
yeah, real.
Yeah, because I watch a lot of television, obviously, on Netflix or whatever, and a lot of these shows, every woman, is between the age of 23 and 35.
Yeah.
And, give me a good Judi Dench drama, or, it's kind of a shame that Hollywood kind of tosses you aside once you get to a certain age,
Yeah.
and they don't have as many roles for women my age, which is
And-
understandable, but at the same time,
But there are so many great stories of women and women of that age that could be being told. So
Agreed.
I'm with you. I hope that they
I hope
kind of
so.
do that more because just stuff I've seen, and I feel like that is kind of coming about more. Being 2018, they're doing more things that are just more real.
Yeah.
I see, there's a lot of garbage out there too, but there's stuff out there that's topical, and it looks like they're like even just that movie A Star Is Born. Casting Dave Chappelle and Dice Clay and Lady Gaga. That's totally that was taking a huge risk, and that was Bradley Cooper's first directorial debut and everything, and like. That is a huge risk, and it paid off. So
I can't wait to see it. I'm so excited.
You got to go see it in the theater.
I will.
My mom and I went and saw it, and we were both.
Oh my gosh!
We were
I
sobbing.
don't even want to know the end.
No, not the end. Not even just the end.
Oh,
just
okay,
the whole,
good.
Just the whole movie. It was just so good. Happy tears, sad tears,
yeah.
everything.
I know. Well, I'll be a blubbering mess. I'll take a whole box of Kleenex.
Yeah, definitely take a box of
I
Kleenex.
will.
Well, my mom, she saw the original, but she didn't really remember it, so she didn't really prepare me for what the whole story was. So I went in there thinking like, oh, I'm gonna be inspired, like I'm gonna, this is gonna make me want to go write music. And at the end, I'm like, Mom, why did you take me to see this?
I think the original, or the Barbra Streisand Christopherson one, is on Netflix. I think you can watch it.
All right, well then I'll have to check it out because
I think you should.
Because I love Chris
And you
Christopherson.
can compare the two.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love Chris.
She
I mean,
pretty
Barbra
much-
Streisand's great, but Chris Christopherson, he's like like a fine wine or something like that. Just that gravelly voice.
Yeah.
And, he's a great song. He's got a great story too. I'm pretty sure he was poor at one point. And
I'm pretty sure.
he was just kind of a rambler, and people told him, his songs weren't any good and anything like that. And look what he did.
Yeah.
So. So what else? So you got Oliver coming up. Do you have anything coming up film wise? I mean, you said so you have an agent now.
I do have an agent.
And what is that? What has that experience been like? Because
a learning curve too.
I know you didn't have one for the longest time.
No, I actually I went back to school after I retired from nursing, and I got a degree in theater education. Or not theater education, theater performance, and I was going to go on to get my bachelor's in theater education because I wanted to teach.
Right.
And then I was told, why don't you just try an agent for a while and see what happens. So I went to a casting director in Philadelphia, and I met with her, and she listened to some monologues that I did, and she said, this is what you need to do. You need to go get your headshots done by a professional headshot photographer. You need to submit your intentions to all these agents in Philadelphia. So she gave me a list of all of the local agents, and I submitted to every single agent, and I got a manager who was interested in me. And so my first year I had a manager, and it didn't work out very well.
Yeah.
And so after that experience, I
probably a little more leary of finding.
I was a little not leery, but they work for you as much as you work for them. So
yeah, it's not.
And I was so new to the business that I didn't want to upset or, so whatever they said, I did.
Yeah.
And even though I thought in my head, I'm
This
not
wasn't
right for
right,
this,
yeah.
and we're not a good match, I was afraid to say no.
Right.
And I had just as much of a right to say no as they did.
Absolutely.
So I was with her for about a year, and then I went back to this casting director because she is a big casting director in Philadelphia, and she knew things weren't working out, and we're friends now. So
Right.
She said, listen, I've got this workshop coming up. I've got 3 different agents coming in. And, you have to spend money to learn things. So I bought into the workshop, and I met 3 agents, and they all wanted me.
That's
and then I
fantastic.
picked the one that I thought we could work together the best, and we've been together for 2 years, almost 3 years now. So
she's the one who got you like the doctor thing
she
and stuff
did,
like that?
yes. She doesn't do too much theatrical agent work. It's all
she's
film,
looking for film and commercials and things like
that. Yeah, I also do voiceovers. So I just did a voiceover over the summer too for a radio spot, I think, for diabetes medication.
Oh, that's awesome.
And and I thought of you when I was there.
Well, I want to get into
tell you about that?
No, but I want to get into that, and I'm not really sure how to get into the voiceover industry because I feel like I could be doing that with my deep voice.
You could, and I'll set you up.
All right,
I'll tell you who to go talk to, and I'll take you down there. You can make an appointment.
We'll talk it over.
But yeah, because these companies always need people for radio spots, and internet now is a big thing.
Yeah.
So everybody's you'd be on Facebook and a commercial will flip on your Facebook feed.
Point.
You know what I mean? So it's like a big deal. But I was in this recording studio in Philadelphia, and there were gold records everywhere.
Oh wow.
And I was like, "Oh, Ryan, I gotta tell Ryan about this."
Did you see who any of them were from?
Yeah, I did.
Do you
Let's
remember
see,
the names?
Jennifer Lopez.
Oh wow. J-Lo.
Usher. A lot of groups that I didn't know, and it was right down by the Electric Factory.
Oh, okay.
Right next door. The Electric Factory was right in the back. Like, do you know where the School of Rock is?
Yeah.
It's in that building where the School of Rock is.
Okay.
Upstairs.
Yeah, there's right in that area, right by the Electric Factory.
Yeah,
right?
It was really cool. Yeah, and then you went, and I walked in, and there were pinball machines everywhere, and there was gold records, and I was like, this is the coolest place I've ever been.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah,
it was pretty neat.
I've been to quite a few different studios, and
not that one, though.
But not that one.
I don't remember the name of it.
It's weird because I've been to a lot of studios that are local and things like that. Yeah. And it is neat. Like I work with Joe the Butcher Niccolo, and I don't know if Ryan told you, but when we go there, he's got 10-time platinum Fuji's and Miseducation of Lauryn Hill and Fresh Prince and all these people, and we're just like, whoa, okay, let's just concentrate on what we're doing, because
it's
sometimes
a little overwhelming.
Yeah, sometimes it can be a little overwhelming.
Yeah,
but,
it is a little overwhelming.
So you did some voiceover for a commercial, and so you basically just kind of like selling almost like advertising.
Actually, you actually play a character. Well, I did anyway. Yeah, I was a character, a woman who obviously had diabetes, and the drug was a drug that was gonna help me not have a heart attack.
Right.
So basically, I was a woman saying that I didn't realize that diabetes could cause a heart problem. And so I just sat in a booth and read the lines, 10 ways till Sunday until they liked one. And then, there were like 6 or 7 scripts. And I just go down the list and say it. And then they'll say, read it this way. And then you read it that way, or read it that way. And you do it over and over and over.
Awesome.
So it's pretty fun.
Well, I wanted to know, like, growing up and everything, and then maybe even now, who were some of your biggest influences and kind of people who inspire you? I know one is Bryan Cranston, who we both love.
Yeah.
And it's funny because you were telling me about Ryan was telling me that you were trying to get an audition. Maybe I did have an audition. Or you did have an audition
for the new movie that's coming out. Yeah.
Well, I checked out the trailer for the French version, and I can't remember what
the one when he's in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
They changed the name of it.
They changed the name of it, but even just watching the French trailer, I was like, this is going to be a hit. If it's Bryan Cranston and Kevin Hart, and Bryan Cranston plays like a quadriplegic who's looking for someone to take care of him, and he kind of gets tired of the same old, so he wants somebody different. And here comes Kevin Hart, kind of off the street, and comedy and
I know. I saw the trailer for it the other day too, and I was like, oh, I wish I had been in that. I didn't get the part.
Well,
but that's okay.
That's okay.
I was his. I had auditioned for the housekeeper role.
Well,
Bryan Cranston's housekeeper.
Yeah. Well, the thing about that was I had no idea that he was such a thespian, and so revered on the stage and everything like that. I just know him from Malcolm in the Middle and Breaking Bad.
Oh yeah, no, he's
which
done a lot of Broadway.
Are phenomenal,
Yeah.
but apparently, he's done a ton of Broadway. And
So was Bradley Cooper.
Yeah, that's what
He was Elephant Man.
Yeah,
I mean, John Merrick. He played John Merrick.
Yeah, and he's from Philadelphia, I think, too.
I don't know about that, but he's a pretty talented guy.
John's giving me a thumbs up. So Bradley Cooper's from Philly. So
Yeah.
shout out to Bradley. He's a local guy.
Yeah.
But
I'd like to meet him someday.
yeah, I'd like to meet him someday too. He's
I'd like to
obviously
meet Bryan Cranston someday too. Yeah, and gosh, I don't know. There's just so many people over my life.
yeah, like when you were younger and you were really getting into it. I mean, who did you look to? You said Barbra Streisand.
Barbra
obviously.
Streisand, as far as singing goes, she is still one of my favorite singers. Angela Lansbury, I loved, always, and because her theater work and her movie work, Angela Lansbury was always one of my favorites growing up. My parents were a little bit older than a lot of people's parents my age. And so my father actually got his master's degree at NYU in the 50s, so they lived down in Greenwich Village in the 50s, and the heyday of Broadway, that Rodgers and Hammerstein Broadway, so they saw Sound of Music with the original cast of Theodore Bikel.
Wow.
So I grew up listening to all their stories about going to see all of Robert Goulet and Julie Andrews. Julie Andrews, my God, she's like my...
Goulet!
But Julie Andrews, I think, we have the same birthday too, by the way, Julie Andrews and I, so... and you never know it, but back in the day, I could sing first soprano, so I would run around the house and sing all Julie Andrews songs, and because she was like my big hero when I was growing up.
Yeah, I know. To bring your son up again, Brian and I think owe a lot to you, and I owe a lot to my mom, because she, the same thing, just listened to a ton of great music when I was younger, and even when I was in her belly, she was listening to Michael Jackson and things like that, and dancing around the house, and something about those vibrations, man, they must sink in.
They do.
And then obviously, between Ken being a nuclear engineer and you having the ability to get your degrees in theater and degrees in nursing, I see where the intelligence comes from. But well, it's been a pleasure having you on, and thank you for being on Getting Down with Gooch.
Thank you for having me.
I think you're going to inspire a lot of people and a lot of young up-and-coming
you inspire
actors.
me.
Awesome. Well, let's do a fist bump, officially end it, and we'll hope to see you again. We'll have you on again.
Thank you.
Love
I
you.
love that. I love you too.
All right.